I'm live. I'm live. I'm live, but I'm still behind. So let me explain. Hello, everyone. It's Liz, your friendly neighborhood emotional support analyst, reporting from the road, but running a bit late because I should have filled y'all in on my rambling thoughts of the moment last week after I attended Smartsheet ENGAGE up in Seattle. And so this is a little late. And so, I know that for those of you who are just sitting on pins and needles waiting for me to come online and share one of these rambling missives with you, you're thinking, why in the world have you been so late on this, Liz? It's just because silly season's been really intense this year. So I'm really sorry. But I didn't want to let this go. I did want to jump on for just a few minutes today and talk about Engage and talk about Smartsheet. Um, Smartsheet for a very long time has been relegated to being a project manager's tool, right? So if you think of some of the biggest, most complex projects in the world, that could be building a hotel complex, that could be establishing rail service, that could be a telecommunications, financial systems, things that are really complex and take a lot of different resources and planning and timing, and everything really needs to be thought of almost not as just a point of collaboration, but a point of organization. Smartsheet has really been at the center of that. It is truly how people take their business strategies and make them work, put them to work, make them run. But I think a lot of times Smartsheet also gets very confused with an idea that it's a smart spreadsheet. And that's a bummer because that's just people reading the name and just assuming they know what the company's about. And that's not it. Oh, and by the way, it's Smartsheet. I don't know why it drives me crazy. It absolutely drives me bonkers when people calls it Smartsheets. Smartsheet, read the logo. Anyway, Smartsheet. Let's get back to it. There has been a lot of change at Smartsheet. Having been public, then taken private, change of leadership, longtime CEO Mark Mader really taking a well-deserved break after building and building and growing the organization. And there's a new CEO. Rajiv is terrific, thoughtful, smart, co-founder of Concur. So I do blame him for that. And he's not quite off the hook for that. But in all seriousness, you have a new leader who has not only rooted himself in a very entrepreneurial spirit, but also fundamentally understands something that I think is worth sharing, which is that people don't like busy work. Who likes expenses? Who sits at the end of a trip and is like, I love my receipts. I'm going to hold on to them. In fact, I want to just keep them forever and ever and ever. And, you're talking to the guy who literally changed that for a lot of people with Concur. So to have him at the head of Smartsheet, I find it to be very interesting because I think he's going to challenge a lot of the norms of not just what project managers have been taught to expect from solutions and tools, but quite frankly, untether Smartsheet from any previous strength. And I know that sounds strange. I know it sounds strange that if you've got a strong product and you've had a strong direction and you've had a strong business, why challenge that? Why challenge that norm? Why ask people to think about something differently? And I think that fundamentally it comes down to setting Smartsheet up for the next incarnation, the next 10, 20 years. And what I really liked about how Rajiv positioned this was celebrating the past and celebrating the achievements of folks like Ben Canning and Mark Mader and all of the team to really say this is an incredible product and users love it, customers love it, they rely on it, they build their businesses on it. What do we do next? And it's not about fixing, it wasn't about redoing, it was about reimagining and rethinking. And I think that's exactly what they've done. I think a lot of the updates that we saw at Engage, once again fell in squarely into the header of you can provide all the aspiration you want on stage, but unless you provide users with something super practical that they want, you're not going to get the big standing O. And let me tell you, dynamic drop downs. Dynamic drop downs. That was the thing, people. It's what everyone wanted, and people freaked out. Now, let's talk about why. Because they want to get their jobs done faster and better. They've got projects to run. They have to collaborate with people and tools and systems, and they want to be able to do that in a far more intelligent way. And I think it's one of the reasons why Smartsheet is leaning into this idea of intelligent work management. It's trying to take it beyond collaboration. But what I really liked seeing was just how many customers are not just collaborating internally with other functional leaders, with other functional teams, ensuring that internal, even partner-driven projects are moving forward. Smartsheet customers, time and time again, think about engagement with their customers as an opportunity for collaboration. And I think that's really important to remember. So when you're talking about content through Smartsheet's brand folder, it's not just an asset, it's not just a file. It is potentially a linchpin and a center point for how collaboration happens. So rather than just having a pathway and a tool to collaborate, you need an intelligent system where that collaboration fuels a project for your business. I think one of the most interesting demos we saw from the main stage was how Smartsheet is really looking at strategic planning. And I think for a lot of us who have ever had to go through that process and go through that solution for their business, strategic planning can be rough. Right? You can ask all the ifs or the whats or the experiments or what if we change this? What if we change that? And if you are on a large, massive system, sometimes that actually makes things worse. It actually brings down the entire project known as growth. And I think for the strategic planning solutions and the way that happens through Smartsheet, it's more about the experimentation. It's more about having the freedom to ask what if and having the audacity to believe that what if does not come with a permanent cost. That AI, understanding your business, understanding the scenario, understanding the project so intensely, you can ask those what if questions. You can look at strategic planning differently, dare I say, intelligently and collaboratively. So kudos to Smartsheet. Thanks to the team. And hey, talk about some new faces. Laura, Mike, thank you so much for everything on the ground with the AR team. It was a fun time, certainly had by all. But I think more importantly, it was a time to reset and it was a time to rehear, open our ears, and hear two important things. First, there is a really remarkable vision for Smartsheet moving into the future. And yes, that includes making things easier, making things simple. And yes, that includes pricing. So for anyone who wants to go at Smartsheet about how pricing can often be, there were some gotcha moments in billing in the past. And, if you did one thing in two different places, you got billed twice. There was some of that in the past. That has been resolved. There is some really heavy thinking that's been going on, and some real honesty that's been going on with the C-suite, both the previous, the previous administration and the current. They've been very honest about what that pricing looks like, and so we'll start to see some of those new plans and some of that new progress rolling out and moving forward. They've prioritized that. They want to make sure their customers trust Smartsheet really down to every last sheet. Right? So they want to trust the pricing, they want to trust that billing. So those changes are coming. I think it's going to be a very bright future for the organization. I think that they have to ask themselves some pretty hard questions. There's going to be some questions about what they want to do with maybe some of the businesses they've picked up over the years. I always ask what's going on with brand folder. And I think that it stays and remains one of the top digital asset management and DAM tools out there. But we want to keep seeing innovation. We want to keep seeing advanced motion and movement there. And I think that if we can take that same mindset around intelligent work and intelligent collaboration and apply that mindset to the work that goes into not just asset storage, I mean, that's just opening up a box, but more about asset life cycle and life management. If we can think of the work of an asset, that will be some interesting conversations because DAM is changing and the need for DAM is changing. So I'd love to see Brandfolder start to put some innovation and some rounds of thought behind that. So I'm excited to see that. Listen, I'm excited to see where Raj takes this. He is charming as all get out on that keynote stage, funny, engaging, and Ernest really wants to hear. I think the funniest moments from that stage included him saying, "Listen, if feedback was a gift, they were lots of giving moments from customers. Customers have really wanted to tell him exactly what they think." And a lot of times, you kind of get that feeling like the CEO's like, "Oh, feedback is a gift," and they don't really mean it. Raj does. It was really nice to see, and so I would love to see what he learns and what he hears, how that rolls out into, some of the things that Pradma and the team and product, start to also envision and start to deliver. So congratulations, Smartsheet, on a great Engage. Looking forward to what happens between that one and the next one. More from the road later because, oh, folks, silly season is starting to wind down, thankfully. See you guys later.